The courtroom was tense, every breath held. Sunlight streamed through dusty windows, painting stripes on the worn wooden floor. At the center of it all sat Bruce Willis, his shoulders squared, his hands resting calmly on the witness stand. His face, weathered like old leather, showed no fear, just patience. He wore a faded leather jacket, the kind that had seen more years than most of the people in the room. Across from him, Victor Kane, the lawyer, paced like a hungry wolf. His suit cost more than most cars, and his smile was sharp enough to cut glass. His client, Adrian Cole, a tech billionaire with a smirk that never left his face, leaned back in his chair, legs crossed like he was watching a boring play. They were accused of stealing military AI technology, but Cole's confidence screamed, "You'll never prove it." Judge Hernandez, a woman with steel-gray hair and eyes that missed nothing, tapped her pen. "Proceed, Mr. Kane." Kane strutted to the stand, his shoes clicking like a ticking clock. He stopped inches from Bruce, staring down at him. "Mr. Willis, retired NYPD, correct? Now you, blog?" He held up a printout of Bruce's website, TechWatch, filled with rants about corporate greed and shadowy tech deals. The gallery snickered. Bruce didn't blink. "I write what I see." Kane smirked. "What you think you see? Let's be honest, you're not exactly in your die-hard days anymore." He turned to the jury, rolling his eyes. "This man thinks Wi-Fi gives him headaches. And we're supposed to trust him on AI?" Bruce's jaw tightened, but his voice stayed steady. "I know what I know." Kane circled the stand, his voice dripping with mock pity. "You're a relic, Bruce. A washed-up cop chasing ghosts. You really think your little blog scares people like Mr. Cole?" He gestured to the billionaire, who smirked wider. Bruce's hands clenched under the table. He thought of the nights he'd spent hunched over his laptop, digging through encrypted forums, following trails that vanished like smoke. His wife, Sarah, had begged him to let it go. "You're not a cop anymore," she'd say, her voice trembling. "What if they come after us?" But Bruce couldn't stop. Not after what he'd seen in his last years on the force, tech companies buying silence, politicians looking the other way. This case wasn't just about stolen code. It was about a door left open for governments to spy on millions. Kane leaned in, smelling blood. "Admit it. You're just jealous. Men like Mr. Cole build the future. Men like you fade away." The words hung in the air. Bruce's chest burned, but then he saw it, a flicker of doubt in Kane's eyes. The lawyer was too loud, too desperate. "He's scared," Bruce realized. "He doesn't know what I have." Bruce reached into his jacket pocket. Kane froze. "What's that?" "A stress pill," he sneered, but his voice cracked. Bruce set a thumb drive on the stand. "Encrypted files. Proof that Cole's AI isn't just stolen, it's a weapon. A backdoor for every dirty deal, every lie." He looked straight at Judge Hernandez. "Check the third file. You'll recognize a name." The room erupted. Reporters scrambled, Cole's smirk melted into panic. Kane shouted, "Objection. This is a stunt." But the judge was already plugging the drive into her laptop. Her face paled as she scrolled. The room fell silent. "My chambers. Now," she said, her voice shaking. In her office, Judge Hernandez stared at the screen. Transaction logs, offshore accounts, and her own son's name. He'd taken a consulting fee from Cole's company last year. She thought it was an internship. Her hands trembled. She'd spent 30 years building a reputation, fair, tough, unstoppable. Now, in one click, it was gone. Back in court, she avoided Bruce's gaze. "This case is adjourned. New evidence, requires review." Kane's confidence shattered. "Your Honor, you can't." "Sit down." Her voice cracked like a whip. Cole's lawyers huddled, whispering frantically. Bruce stayed seated, watching the chaos. He didn't smile. He just felt tired. Weeks later, headlines screamed, "Judge recuses herself. Cole indicted. Kane disbarred." Bruce stood outside the courthouse, squinting in the sun. Reporters mobbed him. "How'd you get those files?" one yelled. He thought of Sarah, praying he'd come home safe. Of the hacker, a kid from Romania, who'd risked everything to leak the data. Of the nights he'd doubted himself. He popped a stress pill into his mouth. "Old habits," he said, and walked away. That night, Bruce sat at his cluttered desk, Sarah's hand on his shoulder. His blog buzzed with new followers. "You did it," she whispered. He shook his head. "Not yet. But it's a start." Outside, the city hummed, unaware of the war fought in a dusty courtroom. But somewhere, a scared intern hit send on another leak. And Bruce Willis, the relic, kept typing.